Steel. Everything you touch requires steel to make or a steel tool to make it. Absolutely everything. Think about that. Absolutely every single thing you touch that is made by man requires or was made with steel. Or one of the tools to make it was made out of steel. Steel was invented around 1800 BCE, a long time ago. In this video, basically I'm going to explain to you blacksmiths and knife makers that is watching, and anybody else who wants to watch is welcome, what steel is best to use as a beginner blacksmith and or knife maker. Stick around to the end because I'm going to show you a technique that not a lot of knife makers use. They should, but they don't use it, and it's not really well known. Oh my god, the sun is out. Oh, I feel like I'm catching on fire. Months and months of rain, and the sun's finally out. Look at that. In this video, I'm going to be talking about your steel selection. What steel should a beginner use to learn blacksmithing and knife making? This video is going to be primarily geared towards the knife makers. Unlike what some commenters say, I am a blacksmith, not a knife maker. I do make a lot of knives, but I also do a lot of other stuff that's off camera, such as wall hooks, steak flippers, etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. Blacksmith basically makes anything and everything out of metal. That could include machine parts, that could include tools and armor. The reason why I don't post my other stuff is because it's not as popular on my channel. People don't really like or care about wall hooks and all that stuff. I mean, if you'd like to see that, let me know down in the comments. But everybody likes knives and swords and other related stuff. So I'm trying to post more videos talking about that. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5160 and what steels you can use if you're a beginner blacksmith, and what steels I recommend to use as a beginner blacksmith or knife maker. I got 4 different types of steel right here, and each and every one of them is completely unique on its own way. For example, this 1070 steel is not very resistant to corrosion, as you can tell. It's just been sitting in my shed for a while, and it's already completely covered in rust. But it is really good for making tools such as hammers and knives and chisels and just different tools that require quite a bit of shock resistant. It doesn't have the best edge holding capabilities. In fact, 1080 is better in edge holding capabilities, but is a little bit more brittle than 1070. So what I'm trying to say is you want to pick the correct steel for the correct job or the correct thing you're trying to make. If you're wanting to make a chopper, you're going to want something with a lot more shock resistance and less edge holding capability. If you're trying to make a razor blade, you're going to want something with more edge holding capability and a lot less shock resistance because you're not going to be chopping through a log with that razor. I got a comment the other day stating that I should not be advocating 5160 steel to beginners. If you haven't checked out my 5 pro tips to beginner knife makers, check that video out. I recommend it, and read the comments. Make it a little interesting. This guy basically said I made the same mistake every ABS master smith cultist makes. Now remember guys, these aren't my words. This is coming from somebody with supposedly 30 years of experience. I disagree 100% completely. 5160 is the perfect steel for beginners in my opinion still, even after his comment. The reason is beginners are looking to learn the craft and learn how to do it for a long time. And I know some people who makes a single knife and then they never touch it ever again because they claim it was too hard, and that's fine. But if you're looking to learn how to get into knife making or blacksmithing, 5160 is perfect because it will teach you basically everything you need to know, and you do not need fancy equipment for it. Yes, it does require normalizing cycles, soak times, heat treat with specific oils. You can't just use any oil you find, no motor oil.
Stay away from vegetable oil. It will work okay, but it won't achieve maximum hardness. I recommend Parks AAA for 5160 because that was specifically designed for slow quenching steels such as 5160. There's a common misconception going around with certain people that Damascus is no good. Yes, if you get Pakistani Damascus from eBay, it isn't good. They use everything and anything that is shiny and metallic color to make their Damascus. And I hate to break it to you guys, Damascus isn't even the correct word for it. It's pattern welded steel. I'm going to use Damascus because it sounds cooler and it's just easier to say for me. And you can confirm that with very well-known makers such as Jerry Fisk, J.R. Cook, Hensley Custom Knives. He lives about an hour away from me. You can check with Kyle Royer. And in fact, I will be at Oklahoma's largest knife show coming February sometime. I forget the date. But if you have any more questions about Damascus, Town Enjoyer, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about 1095 and Damascus and all those steels you mentioned in your pretty hateful comments. And I'm sure every single person at that show will be happy to answer your questions also. If you're a beginner, I do not recommend attempting to make Damascus until you can control the temperatures of your forge and you know the correct temperatures to forge weld at. But I recommend getting a billet or bar of Damascus from somebody that is good at making it, not Pakistani Damascus on eBay or Amazon. So my advice to you, fired up knife and tool and Town Enjoyer, and others that were being disrespectful and hateful and wanting to fight with me and other YouTubers I've seen so far, please do your research before you start bashing Damascus steel, other steels, start bashing other makers. And if you want to be helpful and you want to help them learn, nicely and kindly teach them the correct way. Kind of like I'm doing right here. So, if you don't like it, tough luck. I'm sorry. I do agree with you though, certain stainless steels are better than certain carbon steels. That's all I got for you. What I'm trying to say is if you are a beginner and you're looking for Damascus, I recommend buying it from somebody who is well known and good at making it. If you have a local smith or local blacksmith shop, you could even ask them, hey, could you come over and could we make a billet of Damascus? And if they're not busy or if they're not a complete a-hole like the other two, then I'm sure they'll say yes. Something that not a lot of makers use nowadays, because we have machines and we just order steel and we know exactly what it is. I did not know this whenever I started making this. I wish I knew this the first day I picked up a hammer. Spark test your steel. I stole this video footage off of Christ-Centered Ironworks YouTube channel, so you don't get mad at me. Go check their channel out. But if your sparks are coming off of that grinder really long and dull, don't use it. You can, but I don't recommend it because it's not going to be hard and good steel. If those sparks are shorter and more explosive and brighter, that means it's going to be a lot better steel. And that don't always mean it's good steel. Cut a little chunk of it off and heat treat it and test it before you start forging and wasting your time with it. Something that not a lot of people talk about, especially whenever you're first getting starting, and annealing the steel before you even start forging it. What that does is basically relaxes the steel so that way you can forge it and no stress cracks will develop, or it will be less of a chance for stress to develop. What I like to do is heat it up to critical temperature, about 1400 degrees, and then pull it out of the forge and let it cool down to where you can touch it. And then stick it back in the forge and then start forging it. What that will do is help ensure that your steel won't get stress cracks, because you have no idea where that steel has been or what that steel has been through before you started using it. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment down below. Yes, I promise I won't be hateful and call you an idiot and all that stuff. Just be smart. Please do your research before you use any steel.
A simple Google search will help you out tremendously. Watch YouTube videos, just do what you can to research your steel that you're fixing to use. And yes, again, certain stainless steels are way better than carbon steels, but if you're beginning, if you're just starting out, please start with carbon steels.
Go check out Hatchet Jack's YouTube channel. He has a smaller channel, so please help support him and his forging journey also.